What is up, everybody? Sam Torres here with Nick Price, the head coach of the Jefferson Falcons. First of all, before we get going, thanks for joining us today, Coach Price.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's got a really exciting year, especially for Jefferson Falcons softball. Coach Nick is going to be, this is his first year as a head coach, but he has been with the Falcons program since 2019. Before we get into the players and the season, let's talk a little bit about your coaching career and how long you've been coaching softball as a whole, travel, high school, the whole shebang.
I've been coaching probably the last 11 years between travel and high school.
Yeah, so you found your way into the Jefferson Falcons program, and as the head coaching position found itself open, you became the new head coach. What are some of the things that maybe have caught you off guard this year as that head coach? Some of those questions and responsibilities start.
The media stuff, really. Between newspapers and interviews and all that side of it was a little different for me. That was always done by the previous coach. But everything else has been the same, between, running just like travel.
Yeah, so one of the great things in your position, a lot of times when you're a new head coach, you got to get to know the program. You got to get to know the girls. Who does what, who's strong, who needs to work on this. You don't necessarily have that as you were on the staff last year, so you've got a pretty good grasp on the girls coming back. You did lose 3 starters from last year's team, but returning 6 starters is not a bad hand to be dealt.
It's not. And they've gotten better. And then, we had a really good outfield last year, and I thought that was really going to be a struggle this year. And we walked in a freshman, Elena Barris, who does not play like a freshman. It's probably the best outfield Jefferson's had in quite some time.
Yeah, that's such a huge piece. I think it gets overlooked. It's really easy to maybe focus on pitching and hitting, but from somebody, a parent of a softball player, I've seen where the outfield has made the difference in some of these games.
Yeah, they're fast. They can fly, and they can read a ball, which in high school ball that puts us above the rest.
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference, right? Let's start talking a little bit about some of these not the seniors, but the returning starters. But let's start with the seniors. You've got a couple seniors coming back this year. Let's talk about them.
We got Allison Hill, which I think is the best player in the county. I really do. Experienced kid, hard worker. I've never seen anybody outwork her. Selfless player. Huge bat. Then you got Marilia Matus, which is moving over from third to short. And it doesn't seem like she's never played there. And great stick, contact hitter, strong arm.
Yeah, so I mean, infielders getting a strong, especially at the shortstop position, it's kind of they run the show for the infield. So you're definitely going to want a senior leader there. Let's talk about some of the other returners that are coming back.
We have Kennedy Rogers, a junior. She's going to go from short out to center field. That's where she normally plays in travel. The one goal I gave her is keep her emotions in check, play each at bat like it's the first one. She does that. I mean, she's going to light the world on fire. She's another big bat we have. Normally you got about 1-2 big bats on a high school team. I'm probably 7, 8 deep.
Yeah, you talk about the bats, and that was one of the things that stuck out from last year, from the games of softball that I got to cover throughout the county. 3 of the home runs I've seen were from ladies playing for the Jefferson Falcons. Kennedy Rogers accounting for 1, and Marilia Matus accounted for 2. Bringing back those young ladies, it's going to be a help. But outside of Kennedy with the big bat and Marilia, who are some other people that you're looking for some big play out of this year?
Our freshman coming in, Elena Barris, lightning fast. She's going to be leading off for us. She hit a home run leading off for us against Badger. She does not play like a freshman. We got Julia Sprague. She's come a long way in 1 year, sophomore. I'm looking for her to really compete and do well for us. And then we have Riley DiMattia. She just keeps getting better and better with the bat. Defensively, she's strong. Our pitchers are coming a long way. Workhorses work extremely hard off and on the field, and their bats are coming along.
Yeah, let's dive a little bit into that pitching, because that's one of the I guess it's kind of the Achilles heels for a lot of teams, not just in this area, but I would say around the state. You don't necessarily need to have 5 to 6 arms on a softball staff, because, the rules allow you to throw those girls. They can throw 2,000 pitches if they have to. But, talk about, how the pitching is coming along in Falcon country.
They had a rough go at it their freshman year. First time being in the high school, playing against kids that are older. Coming into this year, I got 2 good ones. I think you can put them on any other team in the county, besides maybe Edgewood, and they would be a starter. And they would compete with that kid in Edgewood. I'm excited, and I got 2 of them. So their arms are going to be fresh come playoff time.
That's outstanding. And, you talk about playoff time, and that's really where, you get separated. Not just, I think it's very easy to kind of ride those arms out through the season, but we've seen a lot of times where people peter out in the playoffs simply because the young ladies are tired. I mean, softball is as close to really, it's like a 12-month sport when you take into account the travel and everything that's going on. Let's go a little bit into that. How much of the outside work that you're seeing from these ladies, that's something that you've gotten to see for quite a few years as you've been a travel coach yourself.
They work hard. A lot of people don't see that. They're private pitching coaches, hitting coaches, travel practices, lifting now. A lot of them are getting into lifting. And I got some players in some good travel organizations, so they're getting coached well, and it's making my job a lot easier when I get them at high school.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be teaching the fundamentals at high school. I mean, it happens. I know it does, but it's a lot more fun when you're, doing some fine tuning. And those are the teams that are going far. Let's talk a little bit about this CVC Lake and the makeup. Jefferson, obviously, they're fresh into this conference, only being in the CVC a couple years now. And the CVC Lake division is only a few years old as well. But there's some really high quality softball in this conference.
Coming over from the NE8, it's hard to compete with the NE8 and South Range and those schools. But you got about four schools in the lake that can win it. Going to depend on who gets hot. There's 4 really good teams, I think, that at any given time will just beat up on one another.
Yeah, it's you've got some big time matchups coming up this year. I know you guys start the year right there. According to my schedule, it says on March 31st against a Madison Blue Streaks team. And Madison typically pretty good at softball. Yeah,
they got a pitcher over there, Kara. Probably the best pitcher in the lake, I think. We got to play our game, maybe a little bit of small ball against them. Make that defense work. They're kind of young. But my bats, and 1 through 8, really, I mean, we can hit. So we're going to put pressure on her.
That's big. I mean, when you talk about 1 through 8, you can't pitch around anybody. You talk about the big bats like, Allison and Kennedy, obviously. You can't walk them too many times if they're going to get knocked right in with the young lady right behind her. So, Coach, what are some of the expectations you have for this team? Because you got a lot of talent, on the roster this year.
When you want to go deep in the playoffs, you need pitching, defense, and hitters. And those are the ingredients that you really need, and we have all 3. As long as they keep working and don't slow down, I think they can make a deep run in the playoffs, especially we dropped from 2 to 4, and there's some talented teams in Division 4. But we have all the ingredients. We're just going to have to put the work in and keep going. I put together a schedule. They're going to be challenged, even in the non-conference. I'm not chasing wins. If I go into the playoffs 500, they're battle tested, and we're ready.
Yeah, that's big. I mean, the season matters, but the season is really to get ready for the playoffs coming up this year. One of the things we deal with, Coach, with it being a spring sport, it's a condensed season to begin with, just about 5 to 6 weeks of play. And then we've got good old Mother Nature, that's right around the corner. I know that you guys always seem, even rain or shine, to find somewhere to practice.
We've been fortunate. Our school has put a lot of money into our field. So it can take some rain. And then we're also fortunate with that turf. We can get outside more than most in the county.
Yeah, it really does make a difference. Preparation is the key. Tell you what, it's going to be fun. You're going to have a lot of softball right here on your sports network this year. I can't wait to see our first year head coach, Nick Price, go out there with this very, very talented Jefferson Falcons team. We'll be talking to you again very, very soon, probably close to playoff time. Thanks so much for taking some time with me tonight, Coach.
Absolutely. And thank you guys. And I know a lot of parents don't realize that you too have kids that play softball. And a lot of times when you guys are recording games, you're missing your own kids. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. That's what we appreciate it. It's all about the kids. Promote them, push them out there, and make everybody know how great we got stuff going right here in Ashtabula County. My name is Sam Torres. We'll see you guys soon.